This is a 1979 Honda Goldwing GL 1000 Mantequilla, as I have christened her. We've got to adapt this Volkswagen carburetor to work on this intake manifold with the throttle connection up here to the hand throttle. So that's what we're going to be working on today. I covered up the intake with some tape. We don't want any bolts falling down in there. I'm going to open up these holes because I'm going to be taking the carburetor in and off of that as we're trying to fit that down in there and making sure that everything's working. And then when it's ready to install, I'll obviously remove the tape and install the carburetor. Honda set the throttle up with like a push-pull mechanism. So this cable, when this one pulls, this cable pushes. And that was for the original 4 carburetor setup. For this single VW carburetor, all I need is the pull cable, which is on this side. So I'm going to have to figure out, what I do with this, if I can actually remove it and close this off and have it, a clean look there, or what I'm going to do. But I'm going to be using this cable to attach to the new carburetor. Here's where the cable's housing should attach and hold it as the cable comes out and attaches to the carburetor and moves this way, opening and closing the throttle. The next thing we have to do on this project is, so this is the pull cable for the throttle. So that's nice and tightened up. I'm not going to change this right now. I want to get the motorcycle running first, and then maybe I'll clean some of this up. And we've got the, so this is the pull side, this is the push side on the original setup that Honda had. So I'm going to take this apart and see if I can remove this and cap it so I don't have this extra cable coming out of the throttle housing. So let me take that apart. So I took out 2 screws that kind of hold this whole thing together, and we got some wires running in there because I've got the kill switch for the motorcycle in there. So this is going to kind of, I want to be careful taking this off. When you pop it open, you can see that you've got, the pull cable on this side, which is we're going to use, and the push cable on this side, which I can just pop out like that. And let me see if I can unscrew it from down here. Get this out from here and just set this cable aside. You never know when I might need it. So it did come apart. I used these needle nose, well, about as needle as they come, vice grips. I love this thing, by the way. Very handy. I use this to kind of pull out this piece. And now, that's, I'm only got one cable in this whole assembly. I need to find a plug or something that I can put in there, keep dirt and stuff from getting in there. So I checked the thread on this thing and I can't figure out what it is. I tried metric. I've got this thread sizer, and I tried an M12 125. That wasn't it. It wasn't SAE. So I'm not sure what this is. It's definitely a specialty part. So I still need to plug that hole. Voila. I'm going to take this cork, fashion a stopper. It's going to sit underneath the housing, so it's not going to get a lot of, first of all, you can't see it, and it's not going to get a lot of abuse and wear and tear. I just want to make sure that dust and dirt and water doesn't get up into this cable. So I'm going to fashion that out of this cork. So I got the right length cut out of my cork, right? Now I just have to cut it down to size. Found this washer that's just about the exact same diameter. I want it a little bit bigger, right? So that the cork is compressed and stays in there. I'm going to use this as my pattern to cut out my cork stopper. I used a razor blade. I made a mark around this with the outline of the washer. Used a razor blade to cut this down. Definitely looks like it's a little bit bigger. It may not fit, but I can always trim it down to fit. Trying to taper it so that this end goes in first, just like you would in a wine bottle. Let's see if it works. I had to shave it down quite a bit. It was definitely too big, but that's about as far as it goes. So I'm just going to trim it, cut it right off there. And if I ever need to remove it, I can just push it out from this side. All right. So that's not that bad. Let me trim that up. There's my cork plug. It is definitely low tech, but if it's good enough for wine, it's good enough for Mantequilla. I've got my pull throttle back in there. Cable. Whoops. Just checking this out, make sure it moves freely. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. I'm going to close this up, and this piece is done. Now we have to go down, mount the carburetor, and put the cable on. In order to fit the fitting that came with the intake manifold that's going to fit into the carburetor, I actually have to cut this off. All right. Also, you measure the throttle cable to see if, in my case, it's way too long. Way too long. I've got this joint here, and I'm thinking that maybe this was a custom cable to get around some fairings or God knows what. But I've already fitted this, and it reaches just fine if I actually attach this cable here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off, have plenty of cable to work with, and then fit it and trim once it's on the carburetor. Let me see if I can get a clean cut on this cable with pliers. Put it down deep so I get as much leverage as possible. And there, that's a pretty good clean cut. Actually better than I was expecting. That should go through my fitting just fine. So I cut my cable, removed the housing. It's a bad background to see this, sorry. I'm going to use these two nuts to secure this to the bracket on the intake manifold. So this will be my back nut, right? And then after it's on there, I'll use this to secure it on the other end, and that'll give me all of this room for adjustment as well. All right. Took me a couple tries, but the cable is through. I've got a little bit left over. I don't think it's hitting anything, so I actually might leave that and not trim it any further. I'm going to tighten this up. This isn't going to go anywhere. Fits nicely in there. Again, it came with the kit. It won't let the cable won't let it pop out. I'll probably put a little bit of grease on there just to keep it nice and lubricated. So that's it. You need to find and buy the manifold kit so that you can put on the VW. I'll find some links, put it on the video. The next video I'm going to do on this is figure out, I need to do some research, figure out how to get the electric choke to work on this bike, because this had a manual choke. The best thing about this whole video is you never saw my ugly mug once. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Yeah, baby. Oh man, I might have to trim that cable.